morning, my dear students. Welcome to KJH Academy. As a part of Group 1 Main Science and Technology, today we are going to discuss about the topic called as solid waste management. In this session, we are going to discuss about two important topics. Number one is what is solid waste management, projection of the solid waste management, and how the solid waste management is going to the projectile or the scenario of the solid waste management. In the second component of this question, we can say the solid waste management rules 2016. These are the two important concepts you need to understand. Number one is solid waste management scenario of India. Number two is solid waste management rules 2016. So generally you can expect this as one of the important concepts. Okay. So in this I am not going to discuss about the causes and environmental impacts of the solid waste management, impacts of solid waste management on environment. Here I am focusing only on two topics. Number one is solid waste management scenario of India. Number two is solid waste management rules 2016. So in this solid waste management rules, solid waste management, what is solid waste and what is the significance of municipal solid waste? So with the ever increasing population and urbanization, the waste management has emerged as huge challenge in the country. So as the urbanization is increasing, population is increasing, so the civilization is struggling a lot for this particular solid because of the accumulation of the solid waste. And second important thing is solid is accumulating year by year. So as the quality of the life and the lifestyle of the individuals has changed, and because of which has emerged as a huge challenge in the country. Not only the waste increased, okay, in quantity, but also the characteristics of the waste have also been changed. That is one more important. Not only the quantity of the solid waste increased, the characteristics of the solid waste has also been dramatically or drastically increased. Okay, with the introduction of so many new gadgets and equipments. So electronic waste or e-waste has dramatically increased because of the new lifestyles. Okay, so as the people are trying to go for new lifestyle, so the characteristic of the solid waste management has tremendously increased. Next, it is estimated that about 62 million tons of waste is generated annually in the country, out of which 5.6 million is exclusively plastic waste. You can make a comprehensive tabulation regarding this. In this, you can say it is estimated that about 62 million tons of solid waste is generated annually in the country, out of which 5.6 million is plastic waste, out of which 5.6 million tons is plastic waste. Okay, and try to make a small tabulation with reference to this. And again 0.17 million tons is biomedical, 0.17 tons is biomedical waste. In addition, hazardous waste generation is 7.90. So totally 62 million tons, 5.6 million tons is plastic waste, 0.17 tons is biomedical waste, BMW, and whereas in the case of 7.90 tons is 7.90 million tons and 15 lakhs tons is e-waste. Okay, so the per capita waste generation in Indian cities ranges from 200 grams to 600 grams. Per capita waste generation in India is increasing from 200 grams to 600 grams per day as per 2011 census. So 43 million tons per annum is collected. So 11.9 million tons is restricted, treated, and 31 millions is dumped in landfill sites. Solid waste treatment and disposal utilizing plasma or gasification. So here I take a advantage of concept of explaining the plasma arc technology. You can expect this question for your preliminary as a separate 5-marker question. Plasma or gasification process is an option for eco-friendly solid waste management in which large volume reduction of waste up to 95% is possible. The plasma gasification process uses electricity to generate high temperature plasma arc inside the plasma reactor, which converts the waste into syngas. So in this, the solid waste will be passed through the chamber at the temperature of 3000 degrees centigrade. So at that extreme temperature, we can consider any matter as the matter does not have the properties of solids or liquids or gases, which is popularly called as fourth state of matter, popularly considered as what? No? Plasma. Okay. So electricity to generate high temperature plasma arc inside the plasma reactor, which converts the waste into syngas. So as the solid solid waste has been inserted into this, through which you can able to generate the concept called as syngas. You can see the generation of syngas. So at that high temperatures of 3000 degrees centigrade, you can see the formation of a gas called as what? Syngas. So the produced syngas, when passed through a series of gas purification system comprising of catalytic converter, redox reactor, cyclone separator, scrubber and condenser is ready for. So actually syngas is not a pure gas which will be having high level of toxic components. So those toxic components that are there in that particular syngas has to be purified. For the purification of that syngas, there are certain methods now. So comprising of catalytic converter. Catalytic converter can be the expected area in air pollution related topic. Catalytic converter, redox reactor, cyclone separator, scrubber and condenser is ready for use in gas engines for generation of electricity. The residual ash can be mixed with cement for preparation of recycled bricks for usage in construction. Thus, science helps the creation of wealth from waste. So, there are two things. So, from the solid waste, so heating the solid waste up to 3000 degrees centigrade, you can see the formation of the concept called as syngas. And this syngas, which is not completely pure gas. So it is having higher chances for the formation of impurities. And those impurities has to be purified or processed. Those impurities has to be processed or purified. So for that, there are several mechanisms. Redox reactions, scrubbers or catalytic converters, cyclone settlers. So through this gas will be passed and the gas purification process will be done, and then we can say after that this gas, so try to understand, once the gas has been passed through this particular chamber, you can see the purification, the gas has been purified and that will be used for energy. Second thing is, so the solid, the fly ash that has been produced can be used for some other segment called as, can be used for brick manufacturing. So thus the science helps in the creation of wealth from waste. Next. However, this technology is not economically viable as energy requirements for waste to treatment using this technology is very high. So this is not a simple technology, it needs high volume of cost, because heating the components to 3000 degrees centigrade requires high volume of electricity. So that electricity, and second thing is scrubbers and residual extraction mechanisms, all these need a large volume of money, okay, huge money is needed. Using this technology is very high, okay, for small plants. So process it for plants with greater than 100 megawatts of capacity. In addition, the high rate of electrode consumption and leads to an increase in recurring expenses, making the process expensive and not an economically rationalized option. So through this, you can able to get high volume of economically viable component. So you can make a very affordable technology. So, but the main problem is high energy. Okay, so you can get two important things. Energy is produced through in the form of purified syngas. Number two, you can see the formation of high volume of fly ash, which can be used as raw material for the brick manufacturing. So along with these two, we can also see one more important dynamic change is nothing but, so the one main limitation is nothing but energy requirement is extremely high in this particular segments. Studies suggest that municipal solid waste generated in India mostly consists of a large fraction of organic waste. So municipal solid waste, so the majority of the municipal solid waste, the components of the municipal solid waste will be, majority of the components are made up of organic solid waste, are made up of what? Organic solid waste. Unscientific disposal of organic waste produces greenhouse gases. So, as it is an organic component, if you are not treating them properly, if you are not treating them thoroughly, the release of greenhouse gases can be extremely, the chances for the release of greenhouse gases will be extremely high. The ineffective processing of municipal solid waste also is the root cause of many diseases, as the dumped landfills transform into contamination hubs for pathogens, bacteria and viruses. So, the accumulation of municipal solid waste, okay, landfill is, so for example, what are the main limitations? Number one, for the processing of energy, you need, for the processing of municipal solid waste into energy, high volume of electricity is needed. Number two, landfills occupy more space. Number three, organic, as the majority of the municipal solid waste are nothing but the organic matters. These organic matters needs high volume of, they need more organic matters. If you are not processed or treated properly, so they may be able to show such a side effects, okay, and diseases, because organic matter and the chance of causing diseases is extremely high. And finally, so for the filling of this particular solid waste, we need large space. The most commonly used processing, composting, also does not yield impactful economic returns for the entrepreneurs, as it requires more land space, more labor. So, the main problem with the municipal solid waste or solid waste is nothing but it needs more land space, more labor, more pasteurization for effective disinfection, and has restricted utilization due to the presence of heavy metals. As the heavy metals are accumulated, as heavy metals are more there, so the chance of causing environmental pollution will be seen, okay, on a large scale. During the rainy season, managing composting becomes difficult due to the presence of excessive moisture. So, this can be done very in a normal scenario. So, if it is happening in the long term, so during the rainy season, the moisture content will be more. So, as the moisture content is increasing, so the chance of causing environmental pollution will be extremely high. So, the technology of decentralized municipal solid waste and its sustainable processing opens up the opportunities to realize the dream of generating 100 gigawatts of solar power and city with a zero waste and zero landfill ecology. So, for example, if at a particular area, if the solid waste can be properly processed, so definitely that can enhances the chance, that can able to provide the best ways of avenues. So, definitely solar and city with a zero waste and zero landfill ecology, and may become a source of job creation through both process engagement and manufacturing, which can help to support the MSCs, startups and numerous small entrepreneurs across the nation. Only about 75 to 80% of the municipal waste gets collected, and out of this only 22 to 28% is processed. So, out of the total municipal solid waste, whatever the solid waste that is coming from the municipal areas, only 75 to 80% is collected, and among the collected one, only 22 to 28% is processed. Okay, and of indiscriminate of dumping yards, it is projected that by the year 2031, the municipal solid waste generation shall increase to 165 million tons. By the year 2031, okay, 165 million tons. 165 million tons of solid waste, and by the year 2050, you can see 160, it may go to 436 million tons. It may go to 436 million tons. In cities continue to dump the waste at present rate without treatment, it will need 1240 hectares of land per year. So, if you at this scenario, if the solid waste or the municipal solid waste is not properly treated, and if you want to dump at a specific location, you need to see you need to have 1240 hectares of land is needed to dump the solid waste. But with projected generation of 165 million tons by 2031, as what is the projected amount by 2031, how much? 165 million tons. And this 165 million tons requirement of landslide for 20 years of 10 meters of height, okay, 10 meters of height, and with a large volume of 66,000 hectares of land is needed to make the to accommodate this solid waste. So the solid waste has to be processed properly. As per the report of the task force of erstwhile planning commission, the untapped waste has a potential of generating 439 megawatts of power from 32,890 tons per day combustible waste, including refused derived fuel RDF, refused derived fuel, 1.3 million cubic meters of biogas per day, or 72 megawatts of electricity from biogas, and 5.4 million metric tons of combust annually to support agriculture. So this is the scenario of the solid waste management in India. And solid waste management rules 2016. So total each and every rule we are going to discuss here. Number one, the rules are now applicable beyond municipal areas and extend to urban agglomerations. So earlier they are only to the urban areas. So they have been extended beyond the municipal areas and extend to urban agglomerations, census towns, notified industrial townships, areas under the control of Indian Railways, airports, airbase, port and harbour, defence establishments, SEZs, state and central government organizations, places of pilgrims, religious and historical importance. Okay, so solid waste has not been particular or has not been remained to one specific location. Next, the source segregation of waste has been mandated to channelize the waste to wealth by recovery, reuse and recycle. So the waste recovery process, the source segregation of waste has been mandated to channelize the waste to wealth, recovery, reuse and recycle. Responsibility of the generators, that is the one way of thinking it in a new dimension. What is that? That is nothing but responsibilities of the generators. So the people who are going to generate more amount of solid waste, okay. So the responsibility of the generators have been introduced to segregate waste into three streams: wet, dry and domestic hazardous waste. Okay, so this wet, dry and domestic biohazardous waste. Okay, and hand over segregated waste to authorized rag pickers or waste collectors and local bodies. So whoever is maybe the person, it may be an individual, it may be a house, okay, or that may be a house or maybe company, factory or shop, whatever it may be. Responsibility of the waste generators. So from the house the waste is forming. So you need to see how the house has to segregate. So they need to segregate the waste into three different bins. Integration of waste pickers, rag pickers and waste dealers, kabadiwalas in the formal systems should be done by state governments and self-help groups or any other group to be formed. So any particular area. So integration of waste pickers, rag pickers, waste dealers or kabadiwalas in the formal system should be done by state governments, self-help groups or any other group to be formed. No person should throw, burn or bury the solid waste generated by him. No person should throw the solid waste, whatever. So even though the solid waste that has been generated by you, you are not at all eligible to throw that particular solid waste to that specific location. Or streets, open public spaces, outside his premises, in the drain or water bodies. Generator will have to pay user fee to waste collector and for spot fine for littering and non-segregation. For littering and non-segregation, the waste generator has to pay certain amount of the money. Used sanitary waste like diapers, sanitary pads should be wrapped securely in pouches provided by manufacturers or brand owners of these products are in a suitable wrapping material and shall place them in the bin meant for dry waste or non-biodegradable. So that whatever the sanitary napkins are there, those sanitary napkins has to be packed in a proper cover, and they has to be thrown in a they has to be kept in a separate bins that has been mentioned for such a non-biodegradable pouches or non-biodegradable bins. The concept of partnership in Swachh Bharat, this is the phenomenal concept. So, you should not miss the schemes of the government of India which is mentioning the clean, which will relate with the concept called as municipal solid waste management. One of such a beautiful scheme is nothing but SBA, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Bulk and institutional generators, market associations, event organizers and hotels and restaurants have been made directly responsible for segregation and sorting the waste and manage in partnership with local bodies. Okay, so sorting out the solid waste has to be done in a proper manner with the assistance or with the support from the local bodies. All hotels and restaurants should segregate biodegradable waste and set up a system of collection or follow the system of collection set up by local body. So, local bodies or local agencies should establish one specific system. Ensure that such food waste is utilized for composting and biomethanation. All resident welfare and market associations, gated communities and institutions with an area of 5,000 square meters should segregate waste at source into a valuable dry waste like plastic, tin, glass, paper, and hand over these recyclable material to either the authorized waste pickers or the authorized recyclers or to the urban local bodies. So, they has to hand over it to the authorized individuals, The biodegradable waste should be processed, treated and disposable through composting or biomethanation process within the premises as far as possible. So, as far as possible, the biomethanation process has to be done for the biodegradable waste. So, the residual waste shall be given to the waste collectors or agency as directed by the local authorities. Okay. The residual waste shall be given to the waste collectors or agency as directed by the local authority. New townships and group housing societies. For example, in a particular area, a new colony has been established, new apartment has established, a new township has been established. Okay, so new townships, group housing societies have been made responsible to develop in-house waste handling, and processing arrangements for biodegradable waste. Every street vendor should keep suitable containers for storage of waste. For example, coconut. Okay, for example, a vendor who used to sell coconuts. So he has to keep a separate bags to collect the shells after extracting the water. So that is what. Every street vendor should keep suitable containers for storage of waste generated during the course of his activity, such as food waste, disposable plates, cups, cans, wrappers, coconut shells, leftover food, vegetable fruits, etc., and deposit such waste at waste storage depot or container or vehicle as notified by the local authority. The developers of special economic zone, industrial estate, industrial park to earmark at least 5% of the total area of the plot or minimum 5 plots or sheds for recovery and recycling facility. Okay. So, 5 plots has to be established. SEZ, industrial estates, industrial park to earmark at least 5% of the total area. For example, in an area, if 1,000 square yards is that, out of that 5% of the land should be kept for recovery and segregation, separation of the solid waste that has been generated from that particular township is the most important concept of that. All manufacturers of disposable products such as tin, glass, plastic packaging or brand owners who introduce such products in the market shall provide necessary financial assistance to local authorities. For example, Coca-Cola tins. Okay, so they should provide certain technological support to the local authorities for recycling process, to local authorities for the establishment of waste management system. All such brand owners who sell or market their products in such packaging material which are non-biodegradable should put in place a system to collect back the packaging waste generated due to their production. Okay. Manufacturers of brand owners are marketing companies. So, for example, a brand owners or marketing companies of sanitary napkins and diapers should explore the possibility of using all recyclable materials. Possibility of using all recyclable materials in their products, or they shall provide a pouch or wrapper for disposal of each napkin. So, it is a responsibility of the manufacturer to give a separate pouch for collecting that all that used sanitary napkins and throw in a responsible manner. All industrial units using fuel and located within 100 kilometers from a solid waste based RDF plant shall make arrangements within 6 months from the date of notification of the rules to replace at least 5% of their fuel requirement should be by RDF. So, for example, the industries which are located within the radius of 100 kilometers should use at least 5% of the energy, 5% of their fuel requirements should come from this particular solid waste. Non-recyclable waste having calorific value of 1500 kilocalories per kg or more shall not be disposed of on landfills and shall only be utilized for generating energy either or through refuse derived fuel by giving away as feedstock by preparing refuse derived fuel. And so, for example, if any used oil, it has to be processed properly without impacting or without affecting any of the segments. High calorific waste shall be used for co-processing the cement